not me.
Okay, so today we're doing chapter 12 and chapter 18. Chapter 12 is the courtship and the law of attraction, and then chapter 18 is I'm looking for it because I want to say the exact title. The list of qualities you are looking for. I do have a couple of tips that have been given to me in both of these chapters that add to what they talked about. And I like these subjects a lot. So I'm excited to hear what you guys have to say, and then I can interject those whenever it comes up. So first page, courting, courtesy, and chivalry. Anything that you liked on in that subject?
I really love the whole background on court and the chivalry and knights and the origins of proper behavior and etiquette to behave with royalty, and that's the underpinning of where it comes from to be chivalrous and courteous and kind. And I think I share a lot of those kind of ideals of living the more elevated life. It kind of comes to the same reason we don't use vulgar and profane language, because you can just speak higher and kinder and be above all that filth and whatever. And I don't want it to sound like I'm an elitist or anything. It's nicer to live clean, and it's beautiful, and there's so many wonderful stories about the romance of chivalry. And I'm a big fan of, so two chivalrous heroes are Don Quixote and Cyrano de Bergerac. And I love both their stories about this, maybe sad but unrequited love, but with all the dignity and respect of a sincere, kind person.
That's awesome. That's interesting how I had to kind of make a switch in my brain of why she started off the chapter with chivalry, and then the subject is about law of attraction. And this makes sense, obviously. I mean, when you think about it, I had to think about it for a second, because for me, the law of attraction is just whatever you put out in the universe, whatever you think about, that's what comes about to you. So that's where if you're kind, you're chivalrous to others, they'll be kind to you. But that's not always the case, right? I mean, it's
a long fishing expedition. I've been fishing, it's out there and just I don't know. just waiting for it, right?
Yes. Not just waiting. We'll talk about that, Ben. We'll have some tips on that. So, Gloria, from what I understand, are you reading this book? Or are you just
not yet? I'm coming because I love to listen and share.
It's perfect. It's so perfect
because it was already late when I joined.
And that's okay.
Therefore, but it's nice. I like.
I'm glad that you joined us. I'm glad. And so I always want to give you an opportunity to share also. Even though you're not reading it, you may have thoughts on it. So I want to be mindful that if you have something to add to it, to be for sure make comments. Maybe you can tell us about chivalry in Italy. What is it like? Do you know what chivalry is? Do you know what that is? Is that a
Actually, I'm not sure about it.
Chivalry comes from the word cavalier or
cavalier. Okay. Yeah, I think it got lost in the last.
It doesn't exist in France or Spain.
20 years, 30 years, something like this. But there are few men. There are few men. There are.
So I'm going to be blunt.
But they got lost.
I'm going to be blunt and say something that is not very popular among the women. I think that it sort of started going downhill when we started doing the equal rights for women, not because women don't deserve to have equal rights, but because of how they went too far. I think that's how I see it. So I actually, there's a tender part of me that when a man opens the door for me, I always just thank him so much. That is such a gentleman. Thank you so much. Sometimes I'll even step back a little and someone opens the door for me and I just tell him thank you so much. And it does make me feel bad when a man does that for a woman and she's like, I can handle my own door. You know, that's when it's gone too far, is what I mean by the equal rights.
Well, it's a question of treatment, right? It's almost like a woman who says, I can get my own door, says, don't treat me nicely.
Yes, it's true, because it's treating you nice. But I think her perspective, you know, giving the credit where it's due, is that she thinks if you open my door, it means that you think I'm not strong enough or something, or that I don't know.
Well, it's kind of like, no, I don't accept that tradition of patriarchy where men are dominating or in control or whatever. And it's it's kind of lost the whole dynamic and social sentiments has lost the value of the good that men can provide and the good that women are and how they can be good together.
Yeah.
Because there's such a wedge trying to drive it apart.
Yes.
It's not so much a matter of I can't do it for myself, because we're all quite capable, we can.
Exactly.
But if a man wants to do it for you, then that's a gesture that, and you should receive that gesture if you want to receive that from them.
Yes, if you want to receive.
So it's not that you're evil. Yes, I was on a weekend long date, and I don't think I touched a single door handle the entire weekend. And it wasn't because I'm not capable.
That's amazing.
I just felt so cared for.
Mm-hmm. I love it.
It was awesome.
So there's also and so there are some men, is what I want to say is that it's probably a little more difficult or more rare, maybe from what Gloria is saying, a little more rare to find a man who has that kind of chivalry cavalier kind of attitude. Or perspective, because right. they have been mistreated. That's what I would think if I was a man and I was opening up every woman's door and they were treating me like that. I think I might want to stop, but they just keep doing it. The gentlemen just keep doing it. I went to the other day, I had an experience where I was at the gas station and I had to change my oil and I couldn't open the oil can. I tried everything and I knew I needed to have a man do it. Their hands are just stronger. Like I would love to have a man. I actually said a little prayer, like, can you send someone to help me? I was looking around and thought that I was thinking of, I was kind of angry at those women who have done that to men, to where men don't even want to offer their help. They think I'm going to offer this woman help and she's going to bite my head off. So
anyway, I was thinking, just
finally helped me, and a guy came and helped me, and I almost in tears said, "Thank you so much." You know. Anyway, yes. Well, go ahead, Ben. I'm sorry.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. I should have waited. I was just thinking in the context of the dates I've been on. If it's a first date and she set it up and she's driving, it's awkward for me to go around and open the driver's side door. I don't do it on a first date typically until I get to know who this person is and what the expectations are, because everyone's different and you don't know. So not knowing, you just wait. But if it was the date I initiated, then I'm going to do what I see as my role and privilege as the one who asked her out on the date, and kind of it's my program, my agenda, my responsibility. So
yeah, that's interesting to think of it that way. That's some good thoughts. What do you guys think about that?
What would be the difference? Because it's a fine line between being courteous and chivalrous and interest, because those can be mistaken. And I actually got feedback from a guy. I was like, okay, so what's your impression of me? We're friends. And he says, well, you're a little standoffish. And I thought, that's really good feedback. I need to know that. But it's because I'm trying to not give a feeling or of interest or of courtesy, or like if I'm just doing something kind for somebody, then that man might misinterpret it as my interest in him. Yeah. So he said, you're standoffish, and it's because I'm trying to not give off the wrong vibe or the wrong feeling.
So Ben, the thought that I had with that's awesome, Heather. That's exactly what I was thinking too. And so Ben, I would challenge you to consider this. If if you were doing what you feel like doing, you being yourself, you're really good at reminding us to just be yourself. If you truly wanted to open her door and you're on the passenger side, would it feel too awkward to you to say, I really like to open your door for you if that's okay, even though I'm in the passenger side, that's what I like to do.
That's not my style, but I would say stand back. You need to wait. I like to make it really blunt and funny.
Yeah.
Yes, it destroys any romantic illusion.
Yeah, it's fun.
Or I'll just call it out. So, hey, we're on a date. You want me to open the door or not?
Yeah. So
and we can just call it out. And when you're getting to know someone, I think there should be a lot of room for grace and forgiveness and mercy, that they're not going to jump all over you and judge you for doing it right or wrong, because you have no idea who these two people are and you're just getting to know each other. So I beg women to just be open-minded, and if you want something, say so.
Yeah.
Don't pretend that they can read your mind or guess right or no. If you're standoffish because you don't trust, you're still trying to figure it out, that's totally fine. But you could say so. Hey, I really like you, but I'm not gonna. I'm withholding some of my interest because I just want to get to know you more.
Yeah.
I have learned so much to appreciate the candid, awkward, blunt conversation.
That's awesome. Yeah.
One woman I dated was like, "Okay, Ben, out with it. Be real. What are you thinking? What do you feel?" I'm like, "What?"
Was that too much? Was that too blunt for you?
It was very uncomfortable getting called out, but when I did it, it felt so good because I could say very honestly, well, look, I really enjoy being with you. I have reservations because your divorce just came through 6 weeks ago, and I really don't know what you're looking for. And so I'm hesitant, and I'll see where this goes.
Yeah.
And she's like, thank you. And she was similarly blunt with me. You're unemployed and homeless. You're really not dating material, but I like you. So here we go. And
let's do it together.
I may never have that experience with anyone else, but it helped me learn and grow that it's okay to own your feelings where they're at. And that one of the things that hurt me in my first marriage was I was under this condemnation because I didn't remember my spouse at first sight, my first day in the singles branch after my mission, when I got 70 new introductions, and that I didn't fall in love at first sight.
Yeah.
That I didn't remember meeting her. And she made that an issue because I didn't fit her fairy tale narrative. And that was very detrimental to the relationship. It made me feel bad every time she brought it up, and it wasn't nice. So give a little mercy and don't think so highly of yourself. I don't know, whatever it is. I think it's good to feel good and have confidence, but there's some limits to reason and rationality that should be respected.
Yes, I think that's good.
If I asked my ex what my wedding dress looked like, he could never remember, ever. It was just something he just wasn't paying attention to or didn't remember. But if I asked him how he felt on our wedding day, he could describe the feelings absolutely. So it's a personality thing.
Yeah.
And I accepted what he could remember because of who he was, not the fact that he couldn't remember what my dress looked like. Like, that's menial.
That is pretty typical, though. I mean, I think human beings remember feelings more than, well, maybe not what is said and stuff. But
I was going to hold it against him because he couldn't remember what my dress looked like.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, that's exactly right. Okay.
He didn't marry the dress, or
yeah, right. He wouldn't be able to pick it up anyway. He has no idea. He remembers on the day that he thought it looked beautiful, but that was the extent of it.
Yes, that's good. That is good that he remembered that part. You were gorgeous, and how it made him feel to see you in your dress. Okay, so the universal law of attraction, we can touch on that. I can interject the webinar into this section if you want, but there are some things in here that might not be brought up. So it's helpful if you see something in here that that you liked. Let's see. What is the universal law of attraction? What do you guys think about that? Here's a question. How does the law of attraction present itself in the words we use?
I was at a conference, met a guy who I'd seen on the groups. I thought, oh, there he is. And he came over to the table to talk. And I was so disappointed because the words out of his mouth were negative. They were criticisms of people organizing the event, of the DJ. Like there wasn't a positive things he had to say. And I was disheartened because I thought I wanted to meet this man. And now I had no desire to get to know him.
Yeah.
And it's because of how he presented himself and the words he spoke, and it changed.
Yeah, interesting too, because what if it was just a bad day? I would say people that know me and see me online, they would say I might be the most optimistic person you'll ever meet. But there are moments when I'm down. I pick up on the negative energy and I'm like, this day sucks, or whatever it might be. But I wouldn't complain about the DJs. Like that's a different, I think that's a character trait.
Conference and you're meeting your people.
Yeah, you don't complain about them.
You should probably put your best foot forward.
Yeah.
Having a great.
True. It's true that those are things to complain about that kind of show your personality, but you're right. It does. It shows. Okay. Here's a quote, the last section or wait, is that right? Wow. This is a short chapter, isn't it? Oh no, it's not. Because then I saw conclusion and I was like, wow, it's almost over. It's not over. Okay. So Kathy says, when we choose to take courage and live a wholehearted life, focusing on what we want, courage and vulnerability work together to complete us. This is the art of courage, to see things as they are and still believe that the victory lies not with those who avoid the bad, but those who taste in living awareness every drop of the good. That's just optimism. I think it's just a positive power, positive thinking. And so you guys, I will say much more in the webinar, but there is, you guys familiar with Andrew Carnegie and Napoleon Hill? They talk about the 12 rules of success. They've written a couple of books. There's I have them all written down here. I don't remember all of them. Does anyone know? Offhand. Think and Grow Rich is what Napoleon.
Yes, I know the books.
Yeah. Outwitted the Devil, which sounds like a good one. The Law of Success. Anyway, they point out 12 different rules for success, and I just go touch over those very lightly in the webinar that I will present later. But the power of positive thinking was in just about every one of them. Is the power that your thoughts have, because of it. Everything that we think, negative or positive, is what's happening. And that's something that they call you out on, is that if you have bad things happening in your life, it's probably because of it's actually, they don't even say probably, they say it is because of your thoughts. So anyway, check your thoughts. That's kind of what Kathy's saying too, is whatever you think about, that's what comes about. The law of attraction and the law of harvest is Jeff talks about. You guys have anything in that one that you want to bring up? We can. Welcome, Lenora, by the way. She said that she wasn't able to might not be able to join, but if you can hear me, welcome. Okay. Let's see. So interesting. This is someone else this is a perspective. So there's a section that Jeff talks about a little bit. He talks about Think and Grow Rich. He says in the book, he says that he learned the secret from a billionaire, Andrew Carnegie, and that he had analyzed it, used his wealthiest and most powerful people in America, such as Henry Ford. Andrew Carnegie introduced Napoleon Hill to 100 of the most successful people that he knew. Or maybe even just, I don't know if they're in the world, but he introduced him to these people because he knew all these famous, he was a billionaire. And then Napoleon went on to interview these people, and he ended up interviewing, 25,000 interviews of these people. 500 of them were the most influential in the world. And so these 2,500 interviews, every one of them had these points in common. So that's the kind of what I talk about in a little bit more later. But that's his point he's bringing up, is that people that are successful and understand the law of attraction and the law of harvest. Let's see, Karen Tuttle also talks about it. The law of harvest. Do you understand, Gloria? Is there something about the law of harvest or the law of attraction that you understand that you would like to tell us about?
Oh, wow, that's a big topic.
Yeah, it is. Thoughts is what we think of.
I mean, my experience, what I've seen is in the moment I started to change thoughts and, mindset, things started to go in a different way also.
Yes, I agree.
It takes a lot of energy, because
effort.
if you're not used, I was used to a family, to my mother, who she was really like criticizing and negative, so I had to learn a lot.
Yes,
I believe it's very true. Many things are very true.
But the most optimistic people that you know of, that you could think of, and what is their life like? They're definitely happier, right? They're happier for sure. But also, do they have good things happening? So is it because of their thoughts that good things are happening, or is it because they have a perspective that's positive no matter what? Happy because they're just happy because of their choices. And I always wondered that too. My stepfather is potentially he calls himself the most realist, but he's a pessimist. He actually would even say he's a pessimist. But everything is so he always goes to negative, and he has so many troubles. And that's what I talk to him about all the time, is it might help to have a different thought, different way to think about it. So anyway, it's fun. It's fun to think about what it would happen. I have experienced it myself. I have several different situations actually where my thought changed, like you said, Gloria. The thought that I had changed my outcome of what was happening. So
no, it's powerful, really.
Yeah. So
but it takes time. Maybe it takes energy. It takes learning also, because if you're not used to it, you need to be conscious about your thoughts. And then you start, that's the bad part, I have to say, for me at least, that I started to meet less, the people who were throwing to me this negative energy, let's say.
Yeah.
And then you start to see, oh my God, there are so many.
Yeah. It's true. It comes from the world, from our people around us, right? It comes from everything.
It's not that I don't meet people, if someone is speaking about only illness, I don't know now, something like this, but maybe I try to spend less time, something like this.
Oh, yes. Spend less time with those people, you mean?
Yeah, because it's energy going, and you take energy, you give energy. So if I take only negative energy the whole day, oh my God, what is going on then?
True.
No.
Yeah, it is true. It does. It goes around, comes around.
Same if I give energy.
If you give positive energy, you get it. Yeah, it's true.
For me, it's been a matter of being very purposeful. And, if you have a list of attributes that you want to find in someone you want to be attracted to, you better look like that list yourself.
Yeah.
Right. And I think like attracts like, positive attracts positive. In my marriage, we talked about being in negative spirals and positive spirals. And, once you get in a negative cycle, it's really hard to reverse it. but there's also a power to positive spirals where your positive builds on positive things and it gets better and better. So for me, I'm not as disciplined as I'd like to be, and I had this goal to be working out to such a heavier degree, but at a minimum, I go on walks. I am active every day. I can do that much because I know that's going to give me more time to meditate, to be at peace, to process the stresses of the day. And it's good for me, even if I don't make it to the gym and do a blood, sweat, and tears workout.
Yeah, that's
But
good.
I'm working towards it. It's purposeful. And
that's something that's important to you, is what you're
Yeah.
saying, in someone, in a partner. Yeah. Lenora.
I take a little bit of exception to the idea of the law of attraction, because I think we have to be careful to not have it be like this new agey religion where we take God out of it and just replace it with the universe and energy and love, and you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think we have to be really careful about that, because that leads to things like what they've addressed over the pulpit, like your prayers should not be like a grocery list. This is not about driving into a fast food joint and giving the Lord your order. This is about humility and coming before the Lord and requesting those blessings that he wants to give us, right? If we're ready to receive them, he wants us to have these blessings. But I think that a lot of the principles that we talk about with the law of attraction are true gospel principles. Faith does precede the miracle, and if we have faith and we work towards it, those things can happen, and we will find what we're looking for. And if we look for the gold, we will find it. We will be able to see it. We'll be blessed with the discernment of the ability to see the good. And the law of the harvest is absolutely a true principle, and it's taught over and over in the scriptures that that you set that goal and you work towards it, and there will be natural consequences to keeping the laws related to different blessings, right? We have been taught very clearly that light does attract light, and I think that that's part of us being attracted to the Lord. There are times where I have to censor myself a little bit, because I have times where I just like want to receive all the light I can, and it just fills me up and fills me up and fills me up. And then sometimes on occasion I realize my weakness is when I realize like, I've had enough, like I need some darkness now. And that kind of lets me know where my limits are, like when I'm like bored and I just don't want any more of the light and truth and goodness, and I want to listen to that song that's got the hard bass beat and the kind of the grit to it, then I'm like, okay, this is where my limit is. This is where I'm at in terms of my ability to comprehend and tolerate light. And just kind of to let go of that pride and that earnestness to like be back in control, and this is my deal and I get to run the show and make all the decisions, and it's all about me and my power, and and so finding that like balance and humility and submission to everything versus me being at the helm and doing it my way, which I have repeatedly learned in my life that when I do it my way, I definitely don't have the Lord in it. That when I submit to the Lord's will and let him steer, and of course he wants our agency involved, he wants our effort involved, all those things. He wants to be like the backseat driver that he's teaching us to be like him. He's teaching us to be creators, and so he does want us to take the helm and make the decisions towards coming closer to him. And he wants to be able to be there and be like, I got the steering wheel for a minute. You're gonna crash the boat, And I think that's kind of that's kind of how he wants it to be. He wants to give us the little nudges and bumps and encouragement and instruction and be our navigator, But I think it's really, really important to keep God in it, because I think that that's what the law of attraction loses, is that it's like, it's all about me and it's this selfish world, whereas the Lord is all about the big tapestry of helping us to all accomplish wonderful things. So anyway, I think the faith precedes the miracle is great. And I think that as we learn the law of attraction, I think it's really, really important to make the connections to the true principles so that it doesn't get twisted into something that's all about us.
Yes, I love it. And that is actually excellent points. But the way that I see it the way you see it. And I see the problem comes in where if you draw a line and you say, this is me, this is not coming from God. But the law, my understanding is that the law of attraction and the power of faith are the same thing. And it is natural. It's a natural law. Both of them. It's natural. It's just a word a different way that, putting faith in the right person, right? The right place. Yeah, Heather, good job, Lenora. A good point. Thank you.
What Lenora said, it rings so true. And it's the law of attraction. If you're trying to become like Christ and have that Christ-like light in your life, you are going to attract someone who is also on that same path.
Yes. I love it. That is so good. It's so good, you guys. Thoughts expand or limit our possibilities. And I also believe that too. I believe that we can, that's what is so blunt, and people don't want to hear it. I in some of the stuff I was reading, they're saying that their audiences don't want to hear that the horrible situations in their life are a result of their thoughts. But if you can accept that, you'll see that you have the ability to have all that you would desire. And adding to what Lenora is saying, and also Heather, is that involving the Lord in it, and the power that comes with turning your heart and your soul and your efforts to Christ and the power of his atonement. The atonement of Jesus Christ is the most power that you'll ever get from anything, is from Christ's atonement. And whether that is, I just had a discussion the other day with someone who's close to, and his life is close to ending. And we were talking about that the power of Jesus Christ, the power of the atonement of Jesus Christ will either give you the faith that you need to carry through God's will, or it'll give you the power to be healed. Finding out what it is, if that's the example, healed or whatever it is that you're wanting, aligning it with God's plan for you is number one. I think the most important. And I think I know that's what the Tykarts are also saying, is that we could say, well, and I love your example, Ben, about going on the extended fishing trip. I think that's a great thing to put on your vision board or on your hope for the future, sometime in the future, and to make that happen. I think that there's those kinds of activities and stuff that we might want to have on our bucket list or whatever, and then think about it and focus on it and make it, and it happens. Make it happen. That's just one example. That there's a little bit more. What I'm talking about is a little bit more than what they've talked about. A lot of it is mostly just your intentions and who you are and how you treat others and how that comes back to you. Thoughts have a power on their own. That's what you've been talking about as well. We can skim through this because I do want to have enough time. What time is it here? I'm not seeing my clock. 10:41. Okay, so I want to take about 10 more minutes to do the other chapter 2. Unless you have more to talk about on this, we can do that. The list is kind of important and it goes along with it. So if you didn't get a chance to read the law of attraction, read that. And if there's anything more in the chapter that you want to bring up, go for it now. Let's do that. I don't want to skim past if there's something you wanted to pull up or point out. Okay, I'll go to the next section. It's chapter 18, and it's about lists. And I wanted to, one thing I wanted to bring up, and then we can talk about it, the whole thing, as much as you guys want to talk about on the lists. It was suggested by one of, let's see. So Jeff he has his non-negotiables. He has non-negotiables, and those are order, God, love, and family. He talks about that on the first page of that chapter. And then, anyway, so the point that he brought up, the non-negotiables, this is what I wanted to expand on just a tiny bit. We could have, there was a coach that I love this advice that I heard from someone a couple of years ago. And in fact, it's in the video that I posted on our website, on the panel discussion we had. He suggested that we have on our list, we have a non-negotiable, something that you cannot, non-negotiable, that explains itself. And then would like to have, there's just some qualities that I would like to have. It would be nice to have it if I could. And then flexibility. Let's see, there's like 3 or 4 different lists. Now I'm not remembering what they all are. There's the non-negotiable, negotiable, and then the nice to have. Anyway, I'll figure that out. I'll tell you the real list. But it kind of puts you in a mindset of, if you only have 3 or 4 things that's not negotiable, like you can't bend on this, then it is going to be easier to find that right person, right? Because I mean, it will take longer maybe, but you also will be happy with what you find, because you're not negotiating. It's not non-negotiable. Anyway, sorry you guys. I had a list and it's left my brain. It's probably just because I have my mind in so many other directions, but I will figure that list and I'll post it on the website. What he said, his suggestions, his 4 lists. There's 4 different categories. I don't remember what they are. Maybe Lenora knows. Yes, Lenora.
Sorry, it took me a second to navigate my phone. I don't know for sure what the lists are, but I can say that non-negotiables save everyone a lot of time, because I think when we're in our desperation, scarcity mentality mindset, we can let ourselves pursue comfortably into relationships that we actually know in our hearts just really don't have. It's not end game.
Yeah. This is good. Oh, I guess the bonus qualities. Yes, it's an end game. Yeah, if it's a deal breaker. People say, is this a deal breaker for you? Yes, it is a deal breaker for me. Then the relationship ends if the other person is not willing to adjust to your deal breaker. So anyway, does anyone want to share their list? That was something that was fun that we did last year. Everyone shared their list. In fact, what we can do, if you guys are up for it, is after I give the 4 different points to categorize them, then if you guys want to post it in the messenger chat, you can do that. That might be the action item for the week, is to share your list. If you want, it is personal for sure, but if you want to, it's helpful for you and anyone else might get some ideas from your list. I'll tell you my list of non-negotiables, and it's pretty small, but anyway, there's love God and respect women, especially me more than other women, obviously, and then love children, love my children and their children. Those are the 3. That's all. Three qualifications. However, within those, there are some very specific criteria, or not criteria. They're just, I guess, in my expectations. So someone would have to ask, what is your definition of someone who loves God? And there's a list of those. And what do you think? How would you feel? What does it look like to you or feel like to you when you're respected as a woman and as my partner? What does that look like to you? And there's another list in there. So anyway, you keep your list simple, but then there's some sub lists that go with it too that are helpful. And then that's where, that's where the kind of, the negotiables and the bonus items can fit in. Okay, so that's what I have to share. I want you guys to share if there's anything else that you have to share. I'm going to be flexible with the time. I don't have to be right on 11, because I don't know of anyone that's coming on other than Lenora said she'll listen. But I might just record it and you guys could hear it any other time. So I'm not worried about the timing if you have more to talk about. Oh, and here comes Rachel. Okay, let's see. Welcome, Rachel.
Hello.
Good to have you. We're almost wrapping up, but you might have some things to share. Did you read chapter 12 or chapter 18?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Sorry.
That's okay. I just want to give you guys the chance, if you did read it, it's really not a problem, but if you did get a chance to read it, just so that I would know if you had something to say. Heather.
So these lists and things, I know they're out there, people who have them and they build them and they're looking for people that meet their lists. And I had the experience where I was talking to a guy, it was less than a month, that we had just been conversing back and forth, and he decided to share with me his list, and he had divided it into red flags, yellow flags, and green flags. And as he was going, I was feeling so like, oh my goodness, like this is pretty intimate for this level. But he was going through them and basically verbalizing where I was at on his list.
Oh my gosh.
And I was like, oh no.
Oh, that's a little. And how
I
many?
hope respecting women wasn't on the list, because that
I was
that
like,
would have
this
been
is an
ironic.
incredible amount of pressure. Like he was just, I'm like, you don't even know me enough to be able to. And even if you think they're all green flags and this is going so hunky dory, please don't tell me.
Oh my God.
Do
How was
not
for
bring your
you?
list to a first, second, or third date.
Yeah.
Like, that's for you to know and find out, but like
Like he
that's
just
so
hit that
unfair and
point.
judgmental.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, well, now I don't
Save
know how to
money and
act. You know, I
time.
feel like I can't be myself because you've got me categorized already.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. You're right.
Yeah.
That's awful, I think.
It was really awkward.
I mean, I
Would
cannot
you like to
I
share your
cannot
list with me?
imagine this
No, I don't want to
situation.
share my list with you.
You know,
Yeah.
is someone coming to me?
Yeah. You know what? It feels like it kind of reminds me of like the meat market feeling, you know, like the meat market. People always say that's what it's like when at dances and such. It's like you feel like you're on the stage and are they going to choose you because you fit their criteria? It's like a product
Yeah, I mean,
purchasing.
I mean
Yeah,
that's normal that each of us it's like choosing, you know, you're thinking, okay, I like this, I don't know, but going
yes.
saying to the other person, I mean that's
Okay.
Perfect. Yeah, Ben.
that's too
That,
much, I
that
think.
specifically calls out the problem. I had never gone onto a dating app, and I was always reluctant to in the first place. And my experience just being on the one has confirmed it, that all a dating app is an anonymous meat marketplace.
Mm-hmm.
Because anonymously you get to swipe left or right solely on the quality of the picture that they picked.
Mm-hmm.
Know nothing about them. And how much more meat markety can you get if you're not actually getting to know anything else about them?
Yes.
And yeah, I mean, I think the meat market term is thrown around too loosely, because at least if you're there in person, there's opportunities for conversation and getting to know people. And yes, you know, I had a scheduled video chat with someone this morning, and she said, you know, I don't want to compete with all the other women, but surely you have a lot of women all wanting to talk to you. And I'm like, yeah, that's all in your head. The reality of my day-to-day life is quiet, boring, and nothing to do. It was, you know, spiked with a few friends that I get to talk to occasionally, and the joys and highlights of my week. But there isn't this line of people that are occupying my time or demanding my exclusivity. So, you know, the idea that maybe there's a meat market out there, or maybe there's competition for someone, like, I don't feel like anyone's competing for my time.
Yeah.
And I'm not scheduling an auction for my time to make them compete.
That's
It's
good.
just you want to talk to me, we can talk. You don't want to talk, or you're busy, totally fine, but you only have so much time in the day. So how much is in people's heads? I did a post this week because I was bored, and I just thought it would be funny about, if you were to bored and had nothing to do and wanted to be a lonely heart, where in the grocery store would you go to meet your someone else?
Yes.
And it was just supposed to be fun, but number one, no one can follow rules. Like, everyone's making the exception to it, and like, okay,
I said
y'all aren't going to meet me, and you're not going to meet anyone because you're not even in the right store. So that's why you're single.
Oh, yes.
But everyone has their own narrative. Like, the one that surprised me the most is, I said I would go to the flower section because I personally think, looking at flowers, I could ask anyone, married, single, young, old, what's your favorite flower? Why are you here? And I can strike up a conversation, have it. But 3 different people all said, I would never approach a man in the flower section because he is buying flowers for his girlfriend.
Oh.
And I buy them for my daughters, buy them for dinner guests, and I buy them for myself.
I might
I
So,
think
say
that's
something
rare,
like,
Ben. I think you're rare.
yeah, well, here's the thing though. You could say,
but the assumption
lucky
makes
lady,
them wrong
lucky
in
lady.
my case.
Yeah.
The narrative of whatever they have in their head is not reality.
Yeah.
However statistically probable it might be, it's not reality until you ask the person why they're there.
Yeah. But it could be awkward if you do assume that it's their girlfriend. But I might say something like, "Who's the lucky lady?" Because I would say that to my brother too, you know?
There you go. And that could be a great intro to open a conversation. But the point is, are we trying to meet people or not? And mine was just a dumb internet game where no one's actually going to any store, except I just come from the store because that's where I wrote it.
Yeah. I know. I had to say that it was the produce aisle because of my healthy lifestyle. And then the next place we would meet would be the bakery and the ice cream aisle. So we have that in common. We try to eat healthy, but we eat the sweets more. Lenora first and then Rachel.
I think we have to be careful to not self-sabotage and do like self-exclusion from the possibility of someone else being interested in us. I have I've done some self-battery over and something that happened at one of the dances. So I kind of have the mentality when I go that you know, people are awkward and they stand around and they don't know where they belong. So you need to give them a place to belong with you, right? So like to go around and basically try to learn everybody's names when I'm there, like literally like introduce myself, get to know their names, have a little conversation, introduce them to all the people around me, that sort of thing. And because I had made that goal, I realized that the Lord put me here for a reason, and I was there for other people, not for myself. And it took a ton of the self-consciousness and fear away because suddenly I had a purpose, and it wasn't about me anymore. And so it wasn't all about whether or not people were thinking I was, whatever they might be thinking about me, whatever insecurity of the hour is. But there was one time a really handsome young man came in, and I'm probably 10 years his senior, so in my mind, I'm not, it's not even a possibility that he would even be interested in me. And, I don't know if I would even go there, but for whatever reason, because he was really attractive, I was intimidated. I like self-sabotage and self-excluded myself as a possibility. And of course, I don't know why my brain went that direction instead of just like be his friend sort of scenario. But this guy was there. He kind of stood awkwardly in the corner. You assume that when somebody's really attractive, they're going to be like this extrovert and people are just going to be magnetized to them and they're going to be super comfortable in their surroundings because they just have the life made, right? And so I noticed he was kind of still by himself. In my mind, I wasn't thinking this was someone that needed to be magnetized in. And for my own insecurities, I guess I was a little bit afraid to approach it, which is hilarious because it's completely, it's like for some reason this guy fell outside of the realm of my mentality. So I saw him. He was sitting by himself at a table that could seat 8. And I'd been at a table laughing and joking with a different group. So I'd gone, I don't know if I went out to dance or what it was I did, but when I came back, I went ahead, I sat down in front of him, I introduced myself, I learned his name, I said I was glad to see him, and for whatever reason, and then because of my own self-consciousness and my own awkwardness, I went and sat back with my group and visited with them longer. It wasn't very long before he got up and left the dance. So wow. I felt really bad afterwards because I realized, what was wrong with me? Why did I not invite him over to my table at that moment? Why was I so afraid to approach him that I didn't suck him in? You know what I mean? Because in my mind, I guess I just felt like, I don't know, it's just these preconceptions of what a handsome man is, you know what I mean? Yeah. So I found myself pondering on that a lot. Like why a lot of people who are gorgeous really don't know they're gorgeous. I listen to women berate themselves all the time. I'm like, you are beautiful. Why could you possibly ever think anything other than that? And we all have our own self-consciousness. I've been part of a fashion group for a while, and I was really, really surprised at those perfect little body people. You assume that they go to the store and everything fits them and they just love fashion. They love to shop. It's so much fun because everything looks good on them. Whereas I go in and I look in the mirror and I see blimp and I'm like, this is not fun. This just cuts me down. Right. Yeah. But as I get to know more, they're all have insecurities. Like my butt's not big enough, so I never fill out the jeans, so I can never find jeans that are fit and flatter. And and it's like, oh, even the skinny people who have these perfect bodies, from my perception, are struggling because they still don't feel perfect enough, and it just flabbergasts me. So thinking of this man, I'm like, this was probably his first time coming out to a 31 plus event or something, and he probably was super, super awkward. He was putting himself out there and taking a risk. And I, for whatever reason going on in my head, was not able to suck him in and welcome him into the group.
Yeah.
And so anyway, I've kind of centered that myself about that a little bit, just like Ben was saying, that we do not know the truth about what's going on in their head and what they need and all those things, and we just make these assumptions that they don't need that hand, they don't need, and why would they want it from me, sort of scenario. And I think we really do have to open it up and say, everybody's more alike than they are different, and no matter how attractive you are, there are going to be insecurities, there are going to be failings, there are going to be awkwardness, there might be super, super shy, which you wouldn't expect because they've got their life made. Anyone would welcome comments from, you know what I mean? Yeah. So anyway, I've talked too long about the subject. I think you understand what I mean.
I think you hit it on the head. The very first thing you said is that it's your perspective. And your perspective was, I am here for other people, not just for myself. And when you're there for other people, that's when it's your perspective. And like, when you're in the grocery store and you see Ben at the flowers, that you're in there for other people, then you're going to say, those are some beautiful flowers, aren't they? You're not going to think, what is he going to think about me? Because you're thinking of other people. So I think that was good, Lenora. Thank you. Hey, Rachel.
Well, okay, so I was going to say, when Ben said that dating apps are like the ultimate meat market because you're just looking at pictures, at first I was gonna say, well, am I the only one who reads the whole profile?
Yeah, you have to, don't you? Yeah.
Look at yes, the pictures are a part of it, and deciding, do I find this person a little bit attractive or not at all, or a lot attractive or whatever. But on the other hand too, like Mutual has that one prompt that is, we're meant for each other if, and I tend to use that. Like if they say, we're meant for each other if you love hiking and camping, and I'm like, nope, I don't. So then I just automatically swipe down. Like, sometimes I think it still applies that we will take the limited information on a profile and rule people in or out, even though not really that much information there.
They're sharing their list, right? So yeah, that's the thing. If you don't like hiking, they're not gonna like be hanging out with you.
Yeah. So
it's clear. It's
a mixed blessing, I guess. It can be good because you can look for common interests, but then perhaps I envision that means they want to go hiking 3 times a week and camping, twice a month. And I'm just like, yeah, maybe twice a year is good for me, but maybe they don't do it that often. It's, again, your perspective or your lack of information,
Yeah. Okay, so Lenora says, amen, I read the profiles, and Ben says, I read profiles, but I admit that I don't read all of them. But we are initially, we're finding what we're attracted to, like the attraction, physical attraction. That's why we swipe initially, and then from there we probably go with what more is there. Maybe not, because I don't always swipe down if they're not attractive, because they might be an amazing person and might be someone that I want to get to know for other reasons. Who knows? So anyway, that's true. I feel the same way about dating apps. So it has been, for me, it has been a challenge to stretch outside of that and to give it an honest try. Oh, and Heather says, a profile can turn me away more than photos. Yeah. So like it comes out of their mouth, right? Or their typing fingers. Yes. Okay, so the summary and bonus qualities, that this was a list of Kathy. Well, Jeff wrote the list for Kathy before he married her, and that's you can read that, the list. And then Kathy says, as Jeff and I discovered over time, narrowing down our list to a small handful of must-haves, just 5 or less, allowed bonus qualities to emerge and really be appreciated as fun surprises. Both of our lists were limited to the kind of relationship and life we wanted to create with a partner. We enjoy seeing that creation come to life in our marriage now. So anyway, yeah, it's all mystery who we're going to end up with. It's a mystery right now, and we can kind of create what it is that we are looking for, and we can be even more specific by defining specifically the lists. And so if you want to hear a little bit more, I have more to share, and I can do that on my webinar, and I will share that as well with you guys. So you can, I'm not going to be quite ready, so I have to do a couple of things for my outline before I get going on that. So I'll just post it for you on the website. And Lenora, you mentioned that you would stay on, or that you would go on. I'll send you the link when I get started if you want to listen. Otherwise, I'll just post it for you guys recorded. So anything else you have to share?
Okay, I'm confused. So you're doing a webinar or you're not doing a webinar? What are you saying?
I am doing it, but right now it's 11:04. I'm just going to take a few minutes to get ready. I'm not going to do it on this platform. Well, I'm doing it on Zoom, but it's a webinar platform, so that it allows me to give a presentation. So yes, I will. So I actually shared the link on the messenger, but I think I'm going to need like 5 more minutes I'm going to change. I'm not going to wear my black t-shirt. I'm going to put a dress on. So no. Bye, Ben. So that's what I'll do. And then, so yes, in fact, I'll go on there and I'll say, I'm ready to jump in if you want to. I can do that on the messenger if you guys want to. So what I'm saying is I'm recording the webinar so you can watch it later, Rachel, if you don't want to jump on it live. If you do jump on it live, then you have the opportunity to ask personal questions. And so that might make it fun for you. So I'm excited. There's some really fun things that I found. And it all applies to this. Bye, Gloria. It all applies to the stuff that we've talked about, and how and why you would want to do the law of attraction, and how you can do it. Your vision board, how you can visualize this relationship and create it really. I mean, even creating the marriage. If you're in a marriage, you can really create the marriage that you want by some of the stuff that I talk about. And it is, like Lenora said, the power of faith and tapping into the power of Christ's faith and his desire for us. So anyway, that's what I'm doing. So to answer your question, yes, I am doing it, but I did say 11. It's not going to be 11. It's 11:06. So I'm going to change, and then I'm going to pull up my presentation. I'll be ready in probably 10 minutes. So if you guys want to jump on that link in 10 minutes, you could do that if you want to. I'll just tell you that 10 minutes is good. That's good enough time.
Okay, thanks. Bye.
See you guys. Bye.